What if I told you my friend almost got suspended because his handwriting was terrible? Let me explain. So, 7th grade was a wacky year for me, as it probably was for a lot of other people watching this video. But in 7th grade, I was a part of this friend group, and it consisted of me and 3 other guys. One guy we'll call Steven Universe, because he had curly hair and was built like the cartoon character, unfortunately, and we roasted him and would call him that all the time, which, looking back on it, it's kind of mean, but whatever. The second guy in this friend group we'll call Sasuke, and you'll see why later in this video. And then the main character of this video, we'll call him Reiji. And basically, the way I met Reiji was on the bus, because I ended up crammed 3 to a seat next to him and Sasuke. And if you're wondering why we had to sit 3 to a seat, it's because our bus was overcrowded, and 7th grade was the last grade to get released from the middle school that I went to, and we were also in like our specials or like extracurricular classes. So it took us a while to get to the buses because it was on the other side of the school. But anyways, Reiji was a very creative person, and he liked to draw a lot. And he also liked making like things out of paper. And so we would all get together at the park. Steven Universe, Sasuke, Reiji, and I, and we would make paper weapons and basically, shoot each other with these paper weapons and beat each other up with like Nerf swords and stuff. But Reiji was into drawing comics, and so he had a oddly specific way of making a flip book out of a piece of paper, where he would like cut a slit and like origami fold it into little booklet. It's just pretty cool, and he would draw his comics on these. And one time his comic got way out of hand, and what I mean by that, just imagine like the worst thing that a middle schooler could, like a prepubescent middle schooler could come up with, or a middle schooler going through puberty, that is. Basically, it had several sex scenes in it. And basically it started out with, the school day starting, and basically a kid comes in the door with a baseball hat and gets in trouble for wearing a hat, so he kills the teacher or the secretary that called him out on it. And then I can't remember, it's kind of hazy, but it kind of, the next part that I remember is this part in the middle where all the characters are eating lunch, and my friend Reiji, he literally wrote like Steven Universe into the comic. Like the person, like our friend, but drew him as Steven Universe basically. And like it goes into this weird sequence where it just looks into his imagination, and it's just a flat out sex scene. And like I think the Reiji's self-insert character had like the power to read minds or something, and so that's what he saw and was just like disgusted. And then later on, Reiji's self-insert character gets ninja starred in the face, so he has to go to the nurse's office. And you want to guess what happens in the nurse's office? He gets taken advantage of by the nurse. I don't know if this is like some like fantasy like that he was having that you could like psychoanalyze, but he actually drew himself getting, taken advantage of by a school nurse. And so that's all I really remember of this comic. But there was a sequel to it that had something to do with Halloween. And then there was a third comic that I don't really remember what happened in that one. But Reiji, being a funny guy, decides to drop the comic in the lost and found bin. And thinking it would be, hilarious. And wouldn't you know, a day or two later, it gets turned into the principal. And basically the principal sees this and flips out, not because of the violence in, the beginning, not because of the sex scenes, but because my friend Reiji's handwriting was so bad that they thought it was a threat, like an actual threat, like boom threat against the school. And so there was this big police investigation, and basically he was interrogated by the police, and I think he got in-school suspension or something. And his mom didn't let him ride the bus for a while for some reason. But that happened, and that was insane. And then later on, I was working on this group project with Sasuke, and this is why you'll see why I call him Sasuke. And I don't know if he got irritated with me or if he's just a psychopath, which is possible, because when we were real little, I knew Sasuke from when I was in preschool, because he was also one of the neighbors in my neighborhood. And so we went to preschool together, and he lived in the same neighborhood. And one time we were hanging out at the lake in our neighborhood, and out of nowhere, he decided to shove me off the dock into the lake without warning. And I don't fully understand why, because he wasn't one of those, he wasn't a bully. He just did random shit like this with no explanation. And so later on, in middle school during my 7th grade year, we're working on this project together, and we're on the bus, and I think I was talking about it with him, but all of a sudden he decides to turn around and sucker punch me in the face. I was more hurt, by the fact that he would do such a thing than the punch itself. But at the same time, I should have seen it coming, because he's done bull crap like that previously. And calling him Sasuke because Sasuke betrays Naruto and all that stuff in the original series of Naruto before the time skip. But anyways, moving on, later that year, there's a new character I'm going to introduce, and his name is Chud. Why is his name Chud, you might ask? His name is Chud because he looked exactly like the Chud meme, and was only 4'9" when he got to high school. He had the Chud haircut, the Chud glasses, the big ass ears, and that grumpy ass expression. And basically, Reiji comes back into the story, and this is when necking was a thing. I don't know if you remember that, but basically it was this stupid internet trend where you'd go up to someone and slap them on the back of the neck. And Reiji decides to go neck Chud, but he took it to a new level. He put mustard on his hand, and so he slaps the hell out of Chud. And Chud, being Chud, is just pissed. This is the same guy who threatened me because I said that Minecraft was a better game than Roblox. Anyways, Chud goes to the principal's office and tells them what happened. And so I get called into the principal's office as a witness. Well, here's the problem. I didn't actually see what happened. I knew what had happened by putting the pieces together, but I didn't actually know what happened, or didn't actually see what happened. And so the assistant principal, let's call him Mr. Macaroni, calls me in there and was like, so what happened to Chud this morning? And I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure, but I saw, Reiji running away laughing, and I saw that Chud had mustard all over his neck. And he's like, oh, I need more detail than that. And I'm like, well, that's all I saw. And I was telling him the truth. I'm not going to flat out say like what I'm not going to lie and say, oh yeah, Reiji definitely, went up and slapped the mustard on his neck. I told him exactly what I had perceived, and I wasn't lying. And he still was like, oh, I need more information than that. Don't you care about your friend Chud? And I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you what I know, dude. And maybe it's because I'm possibly on the spectrum, but I was telling him verbatim exactly what I had perceived, and I wasn't gonna go and fully assume that Reiji had, necked this guy, even though that's what did happen. But anyways, he's like, well, are there any other witnesses? And I'm like, yeah, this, let's call her Asuka. I'm like, yeah, Asuka was in the hallway. And he's like, oh, that's not possible because Asuka didn't come to school today. And it was bullshit? She did come to school that day. And she came in off the bus with us. And the reason she wasn't counted present is because she went to all-county chorus. And so the fucking principal was so dumb that he didn't have the common sense to put 2 and 2 together. And so he thought I was lying and making up bullshit. I fucking hate adults like that. Anyways, moving on. Unfortunately, Reiji had to move away at the end of the school year. And so we hung out a lot in those last couple of months, and during this couple of months we would go to his house and play Super Smash Bros. This was when Smash Bros 4 came out and for the Wii U, and we would just grind that like every single day. And he had 2 other brothers, younger, and this is really funny. His youngest brother deleted all the save data because there was a bomb icon for the delete button, and he wanted to see what would happen if he clicked to delete the bomb. He thought it would explode. I mean, it did. I mean, it deleted all of our data, and we had to get our characters back. But that was fun. What else? Yeah, he continued to draw perverted stuff. He drew this naked cat girl on the bus one time, and I'm partially responsible because I egged him on. And I guess it's called a Neko or whatever, but he drew this on the bus, and then he decided to drop it as we were walking back to my house. This was the last day I saw him in person, and so he drops it in my neighbor's yard, and I'm thinking, oh, this will just get blown away by the wind. It didn't. Not that it stayed there. This is the freakiest thing that happened. So we said goodbye, and he got picked up by his mom from my house. And the day goes by, and then the next morning I woke up, and my dad used to have me train for ski racing on rollerblades, which is a dumb idea. Do not do that because it will wreck your form. I had to fix some really bad habits throughout my college ski racing career that came from rollerblading. And I've also seen it destroy the form of one of my teammates because he insisted on trying to practice that way. It doesn't work. Don't do it if you're trying to learn how to ski or trying to practice skiing. But anyways, I digress. So I go out, practice skiing in the middle of the road with my dad, come back, and on my desk is the crumpled up drawing of the naked cat girl just spread eagle on my desk. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did it get here? And so later I confronted my friend about this because we still kept in contact, and he doesn't know how it got there. I thought maybe he picked it up when I wasn't looking, and maybe he put it there as a joke. But to this day, I have no idea how it got back on my desk. And anyways, I ended up keeping that drawing for a while, but I was like so scared that my parents were going to find it, even though I have a theory that one of my parents are the ones who put it there. But so I hid it for a while and then got concerned. So then I took it out of my house and like hid it in the woods. There's like this abandoned property in the back of my neighborhood, and so I hid it in the woods under some leaves there in a plastic bag. Feel like I was like hiding the porn in the log. I know you've probably heard stories of that, finding porno mags in the woods hidden in the log. But anyways, it was there for a while, but then water got into the bag. So I ended up just throwing it into a storm drain to get rid of the evidence. But, yeah, that basically concludes my crazy story about 7th grade. If I remember anything else, I'll probably make a separate video about it, but it was one wacky year. Let me know in the comments if you have any stories like that. But if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, share. It's been Sparky Coburn on Shinji Speaks, and I hope you've had a good day. Bye.